Like a Cocker Spaniel.
Hi.
Hello.
Cocker Spaniel hair, like Nicole Kidman in what was that show? Hi, everyone.
I know that's what it is right now.
Do you have the Undoing hair, Jamie?
Oh my God, the Undoing. I'm scheduling. Listen, I'm scheduling play dates.
I don't know if you want to join, but we started the live stream. I don't know if you're thinking about joining.
I'm a mess. Hi, everyone. Say hi, please. Comment. Look, I just got my voice. Hi, everyone. Hi, say hi, please. Comment.
It's the show that nobody asked for, the only reason that we shower. If these ovaries could talk is live right now.
I wonder if people understand that I'm cutting you off because I think it's really funny, or if they think it's a technical
mean. No, they think you're mean is what it is.
I don't think they think that, Jamie. I think they can tell funny.
Put your comments, post your comments and let me know.
Yeah,
do you think
funny or mean?
Mean
or funny?
It's pretty mean.
I want to
actually, I wasn't ready for that because it's been weeks.
In our family, we have a rule that is you don't cut funny. And it's funny, Jamie.
It's not funny. I don't know. We'll leave that up to the audience to decide. Where are you guys?
Welcome to the show that nobody asked
for, and here we are.
We are so excited. I am so excited. This is a reschedule. Our guest is basically a famous ovaries guest. I want to say that he might be with this live stream. This might be the most repeat guest we've had.
This is like at least 3.
This is his third, I believe, with us. This is his third time with us.
Oh my God.
I feel like we should be like SNL, like where we get them like the jacket that says like 5-time club. And like when Tony hits the 5-time club, he'll be our first one.
Should we have a jacket? We should have a bright pink jacket that says ovaries talking. Jacket. My ovaries have a lot to say.
On the back.
What do you guys think we should put on our apparel? You tell us. Tell us.
Yeah.
Helen, roll the tape, Helen. Ovaries. My ovaries have a lot to say. These ovaries
our ovaries.
These ovaries are talkers.
Oh, geez. Well, listen, this is such a big show today. So we were gonna have Tony on, Anthony, his professional name, but we're so close with him, we call him Tones.
Anthony and Brown. Tones? Tony Tone?
So Tony has done it again. So we thank you. This was the guest we were going to have on when I went insane and was trying to do 47 things, and I was trying to like drive a Revel scooter up to Jamie Park, go back. This is insane.
Let me edit that. When Robin was going to kill herself on a Vespa in order to get to this show.
Why am I dying in your version of the story?
Because all I saw every time you were like going through the day with me was accidents. I saw you lying in a pool of blood on a Manhattan street.
God, that's so dark, Jamie.
And getting a phone call. I'm like, she's supposed to be at the live stream. I don't know where she is. I can't start the video.
That's the call that's going to go through is the call to you. She can't be at the live stream because she's dead. She's got blood pooling by her head.
I better call her wife. Like,
yeah. Well, so Jamie said, "What are you doing? Let's postpone it." We did postpone it, and Anthony was so gracious and like, "Yes, we can do it later." Although he did point out that there may be some big LGBTQ rulings happening later in June, so we probably will have to have him back. But I think enough about that.
Go ahead. A-hole Florida governor just did a whole thing. Jerk.
Oh, yeah, he did. Hi, Anthony.
Hey, how are you guys? It's so good to see you.
I think you have to have a theme song. Anthony.
Can we have it performed by Tony?
Yeah.
I was just Anthony and his testicles, and then I was like, that feels inappropriate.
That's his distended ovaries. That's what they are.
Distended ovaries, yes.
External ovaries.
Anthony, will you, while I plug in, will you tell everyone who you are and about your ovaries history? And while we'd love to hear more about you.
I
would love to. My name is Anthony Brown. I am a trust and estates and family law attorney in New York City. I'm also a parent. Through gestational surrogacy and egg donation. I'm a donor dad to a lesbian couple. I started off my legal career at Lambda Legal, and I am a huge fan of If These Ovaries Could Talk, and I cannot wait for my jacket.
Oh my God.
We need to make that.
We didn't even make you say that. That's
Oh
so
my
awesome.
God.
I know, right?
We need to make that jacket, Robin.
Oh, wait. And also, my husband, Gary, he told me to tell you hello. And he told me to thank you very much for being a sponsor of the family movie night for Gay Pride this year. This is wonderful. I love that event. And when I saw your logo up there, we both said, of course they're sponsoring. That's wonderful. So thank you very much for doing that. That's incredible. And it's so much fun.
And what's funny is, so if you haven't listened to their story, you have to go back and listen to it.
They're like, what are you, season 2?
Season 2, I believe.
That was the first time that I was on. Yeah. And we got to tell our whole story. And
it's a good story.
It's if I do say so myself, I think so.
It's beautiful.
They're also in our book. You're also in our, you have some wonderful moments in our book.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. I shared my life on your show.
And what's funny is, like, so when we were writing the book, we became so, like, we were just so entrenched in you all's stories, like while we were editing and while we were pulling the clips and everything. And we were like, felt like you all were our best friends. We were just obviously we're best friends.
Tony and Gary.
Ran into your husband, to Gary, at the Pride family movie night. And I ran up to him. I'm pretty sure I startled him. And I was like, hey, and I'm 99% sure that for about 5 minutes, he had no idea who I was. And he just like said,
Probably.
Hi. And then it was like, and then later I think it clicked. And then he was like, oh my God. And I was just like, and it was such a funny moment for me because we were, like I said, so entrenched in your stories.
We know you.
That we were like, yeah, Gary, Tony, like we go have dinner with them on Tuesdays.
Tony and Gary.
Yeah, we don't.
We need to edit your book so we have that same level of connection with you guys.
That's okay.
We'll write a book about you guys.
Yeah, okay.
Please.
Yeah, that wouldn't be very exciting. But you're always family to us, and we love you, and we love you so much. So
thank you.
And you have become our resident ovaries lawyer to help us understand the ins and outs of what's going on for our community in the legal world. And we did another episode with you where we just talked law, right?
Yeah, that was really amazing to be able to come on. And I think in that format, we were also responding to some questions, live questions that were coming in. And it was just really good to, as a community, connect with what is going on around us, because sometimes we get so lost in our family life and our work life. I think we forget that we are a community, and there are certain challenges and literally threats to our community right now that are, some are scary, some are just ridiculous and stupid. And some are going to have potentially profound effects on us as we go forward in our daily lives. So it's important to key in and stay aware of what's going on. So I'm very happy that you asked me back so we could talk about it.
Well, we're happy to have you.
Go ahead, Jamie.
I was just going to say, it's an aside, but I was watching Handmaid's Tale last night, and every once in a while, like I watch it religiously, but every once in a while.
We watched it last night too.
Oh, so the new one. But every once in a while,
no spoilers.
I'm not saying anything. I will be walking down the street and just start looking around like, oh my God, what if, what if, and I feel like for our community, I know it's not that dire, but sometimes it feels like the world is caving in on us and coming for us. So knowing exactly what's happening, I think is super helpful. And it's important to know exactly what's going on so that you can actually keep some of the fear at bay, but also be aware and know.
And that's what got us to want to do this episode. We were like, it's time to get Anthony back in here. And I'm going to add in an article right here. Good job. I did it, you guys. So this was the first thing we saw. This was about a month ago, where we were talking about Republican state lawmakers. There's this wave of bills, it felt like, that are coming through where they are targeting trans youth. And so we were like, we've got to bring Tony in. So can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to preface it by saying I'm not really a trans law expert. I definitely stay on top of it as much as I can. But that article mentioned that at the time, a month ago, there were 28 states that had introduced legislation. Now there are 33 states that have introduced over 100 anti-trans bills.
It's like a wave.
It's crazy. It's like cultural wedge issue deja vu. If you remember back to the beginning of the early 2000s, when there were people all over the Bible Belt convinced that marriage equality was going to unravel the fabric of society, destroy the institution of marriage, whatever that is. I mean, it's crazy to look back on that, but it's like, you know, I've got PTSD from all of this crazy fear and hate. And the trans issue right now, it's really a solution, a false solution in search of a problem, because there is no issue here. The trans issues that are being introduced now, they sort of started as bathroom bills. There was no problem in bathroom, but now they're bifurcating. They're now dealing with sports, women and girls sports, and they're dealing with healthcare, particularly healthcare, gender affirming healthcare for trans youth. And that really does have implications, profound implications for the community and for the families of these, you know, transgender people that are dealing with the frustration and the fear. And that's what it is. It is all literally putting the base in base, playing to their worst fears. And I think what my husband and I kind of, when Biden was elected, we thought, okay, we're moving into this new generation. But at the same time, we are still dealing with the permission that the former administration gave to so many people to come from a place of fear and hate. Yes, and that's exactly what these trans bills are doing. And it's
to justify it, to justify their fear and hate behind the facade of religion and religious freedom.
Yep.
And
it's just crazy. And
you can't argue with that. You just can't argue with that.
I think with Trump, what we saw was like a dog whistle, whether it be racism or, you know, homophobia or any of that, transphobia. It was like, and now it feels like you can just feel it with DeSantis. Like he is like, wait, on June 1st, he drops the thing about girls athletics. And it's like a way of signaling to the base, I'm with you. And it's like, I almost feel like, I don't know. I mean, I remember George W. Bush, when he went for that constitutional amendment to ban gay marriage, and he knew it couldn't pass. He knew he didn't have the votes, but he was just, it was like a I campaign promise to my people.
I'm on your side. I'm in your court.
Yeah. Yep. And it feels like that's gotten really loud. And it's like, we've crossed this threshold of hatred, and it's okay now to be publicly, to do things that you couldn't do before.
Yeah, and it's sad because I think people are it's playing into people's genuine fear for their children and the health of their children, but it's absolutely misplaced because there's no issue there. It started in Arkansas, which is kind of sad for me because my dad went to University of Arkansas, and he loved Arkansas. He loved his time there. But the governor there introduced the first trans bill, anti-trans bill, HB 1570, which essentially it stopped clinicians from providing gender affirming care to trans youth, either hormone blockers or hormone therapy, puberty blockers or hormone therapy. But I think he realized that maybe I went a little bit too far, so he vetoed the legislation. But then the Republican legislature overrode his veto, and then to put a cherry on top of that, right after that, he introduced on March 25th, he introduced legislation prohibiting trans girls and women from participating in all levels of sports, of athletics, from public schooled, private schooled, colleges, and universities. And the thing that just kills me about this, and I think a lot of people don't know this, but it started because the first bill that was introduced was introduced in Idaho, and they're sort of patterning the statutes on this Idaho bill. That one, thankfully, was stopped by a federal court, and it's being litigated, hopefully completely overturned. But that law not only banned the participation of trans girls in sports, but it also allowed for parents or coaches or teachers to say, oh, I don't know about that person's gender. And then that person is subjected to invasive examinations and humiliating questions. It's just the absolute worst thing that you can imagine that's happening to our community.
Yeah, and it's terrible. It's terrible. Really it's treating these children like freaks, like circus acts. Like,
and also like it almost feels like what's that term for like when you're not allowed to search, you know, just like it's like that's an invasive search into someone's public.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's none of your business.
It's an invasion of privacy.
It is. 100%. I am what I say I am.
To children.
Yeah.
To children.
But you know what? I think one of the effects of that may be that the parents of these children, who very likely are not members of the LGBT community, but are allies now, is that it's sensitizing them to what we've gone through as a community. And my hope is that by talking about it on your show, that we can sensitize our own community to the issues that are happening within it. Because I think often when we don't have a trans friend in our lives, or when we, and this was the case with marriage equality, when somebody didn't know a gay person who was in a long-term relationship, when you can tell those stories and you can get them out there, and you can suggest to a friend, hey, you know what, you've got to go online and you've got to check out, you know, some of the content that's out there. Growing Up Coy is on. You can see all of these trailers on YouTube. There's a show called Growing Up Coy. There's a COY. There's a show called Raising Zoe. There's a show called Real Boy. And these are all really great personal stories of people that if you can make a connection with someone, then you can sympathize with them. And I think the people who are living in fear, they just have no connection whatsoever.
Yeah. And they're being fed propaganda.
Yeah. And they believe what they hear. But there are literally lives at stake here. I mean, there are babies' lives at stake here. I mean, come on.
It's really sad. It's really sad.
Also talked about this case, because we're going to hit like a couple of cases about in Nebraska about a judge who refused to, and you gave us some notes on this, and I'd love that you called him stupid, the judge. But
it is.
Talk about this case for us, because this was so, I love it.
It's ridiculous.
This is absolutely ridiculous. And I have to tell you that the name of the judge is Douglas Lube.
Stop
it
is.
Douglas Lube. Okay.
And Douglas Lube is just his whole life. He has been made fun of, and now he has to get back at somebody.
I think so.
And it's this poor lesbian couple.
He's going after the lesbians like they always do.
So in this case, a woman had a child. She has a lesbian sister who's married. She could not keep the child, and the biological father of the child did not object to the sister adopting. Well, in Nebraska, there's a law that says that if you are a married person and you are adopting, then your spouse has to consent to the adoption. Well, this is where Judge Lube shows that he got his degree from Stick Your Head in the Sand University, because he literally says, well, because the law says that a man, the law's phrased a man and a woman. There's gender still in the Nebraska law. So he said, because there's gender in the Nebraska law, notwithstanding Obergefell, notwithstanding Windsor, all of the cases that have made marriage equality legal, he says, well, there's no such thing as wife and wife adoption. Therefore, I'm denying this adoption.
That's a reach. That's a reach.
It's nuts. It's just nuts.
It reminds me of the judge on Miracle on 34th Street. Like, he was just looking for some kind of loophole to appease his base and to say, I know I did just bring up Miracle on 34th Street.
You sure did.
You know I did. That was a good point. But just like, like he looking for a loophole, like he knew it was stupid. Judge Lube even knew it was stupid.
Come on, Judge Lube.
So
every a-hole judge is going to be called Judge Lube from now on.
I know, right?
He's just a judge. I just adjutized it. He's just a Judge Lube. I didn't adjutize it. I don't know what I did.
Adjutize a word?
Robin be like, stop being a Judge Lube, Robin.
Stop, you're a Judge Lube. Donna Lee said these are the same people who scream about their poor babies having to wear pieces of cloth over their mouth for a few hours, but have no problem having someone else's kids having to show their genitals at school and sports. You're right, Donna Lee.
Can you imagine? I mean, the invasion.
Crazy.
So back to Judge Lube.
Well, the good news about that case is that the Nebraska Supreme Court completely saw the stupidity in his ruling and said this is absolutely ridiculous, and I'm overturning this decision. So the adoption is granted, And it was just like this stupidity blip in jurisprudence of Nebraska and the United States. It was ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, and I think our shirts are probably going to say, "Don't be a judge. Stop being a judge lube."
Or no, it's just going to be
my jacket. My jacket.
A picture of Judge Lube with a line through it.
That's it.
That's going to be our 5 club that's going to be the code we're going to have made for you when you're on the 5th time.
And it's got to be a face like.
Right. Okay, so I have to say that the spelling of Judge Lube's name is Luebe, but I still pronounce it Judge Lube.
Yeah. He probably is like, no, I'm sorry, it's Luebe.
Lube. Yeah, right.
And all the little kids on the playground were like, Lube.
Yep. You know they were. I do in a way feel sorry for the man, but that doesn't justify his legal stupidity in this case.
I feel sorry for him. He doesn't like our family, so screw you, Judge Lube.
Exactly.
Wow, Jamie, that was aggressive.
Doesn't he know we make the best moms, us lesbians? Doesn't he know this yet?
But also,
I'm not the best.
The sister. I know, but we were just both talking about screaming at our
children. We try hard.
But the sister literally said, "This is the person I want to have my child."
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is the thing that is so, and the father was okay with it. And then you got to come in and this wasn't even a case where someone was suing and it was making its way up the courts. This was literally a dude who just was like, nope, not doing it.
That's exactly what it was. It was him saying, no, I don't see the logic in this, when there was no logic in it, in his decision at all. It's just ridiculous.
Lesson learned. Don't be a Judge Lube.
Don't be a Judge Lube.
All right. So
such a Judge Lube.
Hashtag don't be a Judge Lube.
All right. So our next topic that we have on the docket for today, sir, we have been getting people in episodes referring to something called step parent adoption. Yes. And our question to you was, have you heard of this before? Is this new? How is this different from second parent adoption? Please spill the beans.
And Anthony, before you answer this, I would just like you to know we just got our court date finally for second parent adoption. We just got the court date yesterday.
When is the date? How soon is it?
I don't know. It's in the calendar somewhere. It's in July. It's like July 7th or something.
Okay. Jamie, I'm so happy for you. And congratulations. You are living proof that no matter what happens in your life, you prioritize the most important things. And this is the most important thing. So very, very, very kudos to you.
Thank you. Okay, good. I thought you were about to tell me you don't have to do that anymore.
No.
We'll talk about options coming up. But basically, to answer your question, same step parent adoption and second parent adoption essentially are the same thing. In New York, the distinction is made by a second parent adoption is an unmarried couple where one of them has a biological relationship to the child and the other is adopting the child. A step-parent adoption is when it's a married couple and one of them has a biological relationship with the child and the other one doesn't.
Even if it's a gay couple that's married, it's still considered it would be a step-parent adoption.
Yes, if they are married, yes. Now the difference is if it's a heterosexual couple, there's usually a birth parent that has to either consent to the adoption by the second parent or the other parent, the new spouse, or their rights have to be terminated. But in our community, very often, lesbian couples will have their children with either anonymous donors, so there's no one who needs to surrender their parental rights. There's no parental rights to surrender, so it's a easier process. Or if they have a known donor, usually the known donor is on board from the beginning, especially if you have a known donor agreement, and that will be proof of their intent, and that will be included in the petition and the proceedings for adoption. So it's a much simpler process.
Anthony is letting you know, have your paperwork in order, because it's going to make your life easier. Okay.
It absolutely is going to make your life easier because it's going to clarify the intentions of all of the parties. And that's the important thing that the court wants to know. Whether you are doing an adoption proceeding or a birth order parentage proceeding, I'm going to describe that in a minute. They want to know the intention of if it's a known donor, they want to know that their intention all along was that the petitioning parents are the intended parents of that child. So the difference, I guess, and where this comes up, and it's a question that I answer a lot, is now that there are options, particularly here in New York, after February 2015, February 15th, 2021, we have the Child Parent Security Act, which is wonderful. We now have legal compensated surrogacy, which is how a number of gay men have their families. But we also have a pathway to parenthood that lesbian couples can take advantage of. It's sort of like an adoption light process. The process is very different. It still ends up in a court order, but it's not as invasive. For instance, step parent, second parent adoptions.
And this is parentage. This is what that path to parentage thing that is.
Yes, this is the parentage birth order. Yes,
parentage birth order.
But question: was the step parent adoption always there? That was always an option.
Yes, that was always an option from early on in New York State, and it's all state law based. Remember, family law is all state law based, so you have to look at the law of the state where you are planning to do the adoption. Your residence, the state of your residence, and the county of your residence will determine which court you file in. So you've always had that option, but the process for second parent and step parent adoption is a lot more rigorous. They're
pretty much the same, right?
I was gonna say, do you end up with the same security at the end?
For step and second parent adoption,
no, for
adoption versus birth order?
Yes.
Yeah, this is the key. Okay, I'm settling it. So this is the key. The step parent adoptions for gay couples, there is Supreme Court precedent. There was a case in 2016 called EL versus VL. And basically it said that if you've gone through what it takes to get an adoption order, step parent or second parent adoption order, then any other state has to acknowledge and recognize that adoption order. So we have Supreme Court precedent, and it makes you understand why couples and families in the southern states prefer still to have adoption orders, because if they're in a state like Arkansas or Tennessee or Mississippi or Alabama that have, or not Alabama, Alabama legislature actually did vote down some anti-trans legislation, which is very good. But if you're in a state that the rights of the LGBTQ community are sort of under assault, you're probably going to want to have the absolute strongest parentage established for you.
Right.
So,
and that's an adoption order at the
that's
end.
The adoption order.
Or second. Okay.
Correct. It's the gold standard of establishing parentage. Now, the issue really arises because nobody ever wants to think they're going to break up. And where you see this happen is when a couple breaks up and the genetic parent tries to prevent the non-genetic parent from seeking custody or visitation. So with a parentage order, let me explain the process for a parentage order. With a parentage order, it's a quick petition. There are no background checks. There's no social worker home study. If you have a anonymous sperm donor, you just have to send in a letter from the sperm provider. If you worked with a clinic, you simply provide a letter from them saying that, the IVF procedure or the IUI procedure was done at the clinic, and the participants, and the fact that they used anonymous sperm. Yeah.
I want to say that part of my process, because I had to do that too for the second parent adoption. Getting that letter from my clinic that did it took a whole month. I'm just saying that could take a while.
Yeah, I know. I try to streamline it for my clients, and I talk to the clinic and I send them literally a template that says, this is what I need, put it on your letterhead, have the doctor sign it. So it's
beautiful.
It makes it easier.
I want to keep you on track though, because I want to hear the differences between the two.
So essentially there's a mountain of paperwork and a home study and criminal background checks, and the petitioning parent has to supply a list of addresses for the last 28 years with a seamless timeline of where they've lived. It's a lot of information. In a parentage order, it's essentially a petition and an affidavit from the parents saying that they are residents of the state of New York for the last 6 months, if they've had their child or if they haven't had their child, when the due date is going to be, if they've had their child, the name and the information about birth, and that they consented to the process, if they used an anonymous donor or a known donor, and that they consented. And then they sign affidavits that say they consented, tells the story. Working with a couple now that did home insemination. So we had to tell the story of how they purchased, sperm and brought it home, and the procedure for doing the home insemination, because there was no clinic. And then the court, essentially, they have a hearing, and after the hearing, a order of parentage is issued. And if the order of parentage is, and it's done very quickly, it's done usually within a month of filing the petition, I have a hearing date. And as you know, Jamie, from the adoption process, it takes months to go through an adoption process. It really takes a lot. With a birth order and an adoption process, you can't do unless the child is born. With a birth order, you can do it before the child is born. So you can have all of that taken care of. It's an easier process. It's a less expensive process, which I know a lot of people appreciate. You
still need a lawyer, right? To help you through. Yes.
You still need a lawyer to
help you through it. I feel like there's a but.
Yeah. What's the but? It's only in New York. It's only in your state.
If I go to Alabama with my parentage order, does that?
I have to take my papers with me.
That is the question. Do you have to have your parentage order registered or conformed in a state that you move to? And again, where it's going to come up is if you split up and the genetic parent tries to dispute parentage from the parentage order. That happened in one case. It happened with a gay male that I know of. It happened with a gay male couple. They had a birth order. They went through surrogacy together. They had a birth order from California. They moved to Texas, and they split up, and the biological parent tried to keep the non-biological parent away. Now it went through litigation and through the courts in Texas, and they ultimately upheld the birth order. But it was after hundreds of thousands of dollars in litigation costs.
Oh, and if it had been an adoption,
there wouldn't have been anything to litigate.
Yeah,
they would have been both parents would have been on equal footing when it comes to custody and visitation. So the issue really is, for anyone who's listening, that you have to do what's most comfortable for you. There are certain indicators when an adoption would probably be preferable. If you travel abroad a lot, if you travel in southern states or in LGBTQ unfriendly states a lot, or live in an unfriendly state, you're probably going to want to consider adoption. But then you have to ask, if you live in New York,
do you fight a lot?
Oh, honey, we all fight a lot.
We all fight a lot. Are you kidding me? Come on now.
If you live up here, though, you just have to ask yourself, and I think the driver of this conversation has to be the non-genetically related parent.
Yes.
What are you comfortable with?
Right.
Are you, first of all, you have to have some kind of protection. So whether it's an adoption order or a parentage order, you have to have something that says you are a legal parent of that child. Otherwise, you're kind of floating in limbo. But if you are comfortable with that parentage order, understanding all of the implications, if there's this breakup later on, and if it's a really contentious one, and if the biological parent has more money than the non-biological parent, all of those issues are going to be sort of factored into your decision. But ultimately, it's what are you most comfortable with?
Okay. Danielle's asking, can you do the parentage order if your child is born in 2019? So if you haven't...
Yes, you can. You can do parentage orders for children who've already been born. And if you don't have anything establishing parentage, yes, that procedure is open to you. And it's really, it's a really wonderful thing. I don't want to cloud the goodness of having this pathway to parenthood by filling in all of the details and the kind of the scary potential what ifs. So the issue really is,
though, Anthony, it's important that people know, like, you're gaining something by this parentage order, which is less time, less work, less money, but then you're giving off a little on protection. And then over here, more time, more money, more pain in the butt. Ask Jamie, ask me, but you have a more solid,
we've all done it.
Solid agreement at the end of it. So it's like, where are you at? What are you comfortable with? But what I love about this is it's important that everyone knows that they not just be told, oh, you can do a parentage. They need to know the pros and the cons of each.
Right.
Hopefully one day we will have that same kind of judicial sort of imprimatur of legitimacy on parentage orders. Unfortunately, with the courts, the way that they are packed at the moment with young Trump appointees, I think there probably are going to be some bumps in the road ahead. So you have there's so many things to factor in, but you're absolutely right, Jamie. If you have all of the kind of all the facts to make the right decision, then you'll make the right decision that's best for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know the difference in cost? Like, what is the difference in cost? Is that an easy answer?
Yes, and it's going to depend on where you live in the country. But in this area, you're probably going to look at costs around between $3,000 and $5,000 for an adoption, and around $1,500 for a parentage action.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a difference.
Yeah,
that's not including legal fees, or is that including?
No, that is included. That's inclusive of legal fees.
It's amazing how the prices have come down from when we
did
ours.
I don't know.
Wonderful.
That is good. We had a 2-for, so I have no idea how much one. I don't know. We had a 2-for-1 because we're both adopting each kid, so it's just expensive.
Right. I remember. There was a wonderful judge in New York City Surrogates Court, and she pulled me aside after an adoption for a lesbian couple, and she told me, she said, "Mr. Brown, you need to lower your costs. You need to make this more affordable to people." And I always heard her, and I did. After that conversation, she wrote some amazing decisions for the LGBTQ community, and she took the time to say that to me, and I took it to heart.
Aww.
That's great. Wow. Okay. I should have come to you. Why didn't I come to you?
Let's not get involved in that.
Well, you haven't had the hearing yet, so it's not too late.
Should we switch?
But she has written the checks. Now, our other questions, we interviewed a polyamorous couple, or one of the thruples, and they were the first couple in California to get all 3 dads on the birth certificate. And I was surprised because he was a doctor. He was like, he thought he was covered. And we were all like, no. That's only like proof of birth or whatever. It does not mean that you all have equal parental rights. Is there any world where a throuple or a polyamorous couple can, or group, I don't know the appropriate way to say that, but could do multiple second parent adoption? Is that possible anywhere?
It is, and it's happening more and more now. But that couple, they didn't just go to Vital Records and say, or the hospital and say, "I want you to put 3 people on the birth certificate." Vital Records always has to follow the direction of a court and by a court order. So they had to go and get a court order where triple custody and visitation and parentage was approved. And then the court order states that Vital Records will put all 3 of them on the birth certificate. So there is a world. The good news is there is a world where there are families with 3 parents that are being recognized. And the truth is, when you have your time in front of a judge and there's 3 of you who absolutely consent, and the judge realizes, wait a minute, this really is in the best interest of that child. Who wouldn't want more support and more love for that child? And that, I believe the case that you're talking about, the order came from California.
Yes.
But I know that there is currently a case in the lower ranks in Massachusetts right now going up for a 3-parent adoption as well. And it's going to be, I believe, after a surrogacy journey. So it's happening more and more. And I think that expanding definition of family, I see it personally as wonderful. I see it as an affirmation of, what love can really do and how it can affect positively, the lives of people and children in particular. I know there are some people that see it as the breakdown of all humanity, the pearl clutchers in the South. But still, sorry, South. I'm from the South. I can say that. But
we still love the South. We still love you guys.
We still love the South.
And we want you to come with us. South. Come with us.
Join us.
Yes.
Join us.
Yeah.
Everything's okay. Just be with us.
Be with us.
It is. It absolutely is. And I think the more people, like you had those guys on your show, that was so great. You introduced them to the world, and you probably introduced them to many people in our community that had not even thought about having a 3-person family. So
I had never talked to anyone in a throuple before.
I hadn't. The only thing it just made me wish 3 men and a baby had actually been 3 gay men. Don't you wish that? Don't you wish?
Why isn't someone remaking that movie?
That movie's so good.
They should.
As gay men.
Yeah. I mean, like, God,
they
find
absolutely
Ian and
should.
remake that. That's money in the bank.
That movie was so good. I love that movie.
And
wish it was gay men though.
I know, right? And Ian's story is such a feel-good story. It's wonderful, that there are judges in the world that are hearing these stories and ruling, I think, correctly.
Right.
So you also mentioned that there's some federal executive branch activity going on that you wanted to talk about.
Oh, yes. Some interesting stuff, both from the Department of Justice and from the State Department. So I don't know if you remember, you had sort of dropped the hint early that there's going to be some Supreme Court, one particular Supreme Court decision coming out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to talk about that in a second, but in, what was it? Bostock was in, 2020. It was last year. In the Bostock decision, it was a decision where the court ruled that Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 applies to discrimination in employment based on orientation and gender identity. So that's a really great thing. We had always wondered about this, and Judge Gorsuch wrote the opinion, which I think shocked a lot of people. He's what's known as a textualist. So he really looks at the hard definitions of the words. And he, I think, accurately interpreted the statute to say, if you're discriminating based on orientation or identity, you're really basing that discrimination on sex. And there's already established a precedent for discrimination based on sex. So I'm sorry, getting to the point. Pamela Karlan was the attorney who argued the Bostock case and won in front of the Supreme Court. Well, she's now, I think her title is the Principal Deputy Assistant Attorney General of the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice. And she issued guidance based on the Bostock decision, saying that not only does Title VII apply, which is employment discrimination, but Title IX applies also. And that is discrimination in school situations. So it is, I think it's good news that we know that the Department of Justice, this is very unlike the Trump Department of Justice. The Department of Justice is going to be arguing for our families. Whether we get a judge that is, a Trump appointed judge, a conservative judge, they may, block these litigations or deny these claims moving up the ladder. We do know that the government is going to be fighting for us, which I think is a really good thing. Also, the State Department said that it is now, and I don't know if you remember this case, it was Qasem Kaviti was the guy's name, an Israeli.
Jamie probably remembers that.
It was an Israeli couple. Yeah, hello. I see all the comments. Anyway, you may have seen it in the news. I posted it on my website. It was a gay couple. One of them was American. One of them was Israeli. They had children born in Canada.
I do remember this.
You remember this.
Right. And the U.S. government refused to acknowledge the citizenship of the biological child of the Israeli citizen. They acknowledged the citizenship of the biological child of the American partner in this couple. Well, the State Department said that they're not looking at cases like this. They are going to grant citizenship to babies born abroad if at least one of the parents is an American citizen.
That's progress.
It is progress. It's incremental, but it is progress on a federal level, and it's progress that we haven't seen in 4 years. So I'm very happy that that happened. And I love the fact that Pam Karlan, who is an out lesbian, is the person who she is the person who argued the Bostock case and won, is now in the Civil Rights Division at the Department of Justice. That just makes me very happy.
Girl.
It's like we're recorrecting the wrongs one at a time.
One at a time. It's like little steps, little tiny steps, and then boom, 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 boom. And then some steps. I mean,
I think we just all want to know our families are safe.
Yeah.
It's just
exactly.
I don't want someone to come into office. I don't care who it is. This is not a Trump thing. I just don't want someone to come into office that's going to take away rights for my family. It's like, and like Jamie said, it is sometimes one step forward, 4 steps back. But I almost think it feels like it's not linear. It's just all over here.
Yeah, I think it's easy to see it that way too, when you're looking at all of the sort of the multiple fronts where we may make a little progress here, but we're still dealing with all this anti-trans crap coming at us from state legislatures. It's just ridiculous.
The sports thing is so absurd. It's what are we talking about? Like 5 kids? Like, I mean,
no, we're talking about 0 kids.
Exactly.
Not a single issue has happened. It's a solution looking for a problem.
They're trying to stoke fear. They're stoking fear of trans folks, which is crazy. And then Caitlyn Jenner on the bandwagon. Like, are you kidding me, Caitlyn? You go out and play golf every single day. I've seen some of your reality TV. I know what you do. I know what you do, Caitlyn. Come on, Caitlyn.
Never play golf. I'm watching you, Caitlyn.
I see you. I'm gonna tell you, you can't play golf anymore. Get out. You're not allowed in the club.
Right. That's right.
Well, Anthony, is there anything else while we have you here that we should go over?
Yes.
One more thing. Okay. One more
we
thing.
Have time.
Okay,
we have time. Okay.
We do.
So it's the case that is going to be released
Yes.
By the end of June. There are 26 decisions the Supreme Court has to release before the end of the term. They're going to release. They usually release on Mondays and Thursdays, but they usually always save gay rights cases for just before Pride, like the last Sunday in the month or the last day that they issue in the month.
Us on our toes.
I know, right?
Before they go on vacation and hide.
Yeah.
It was a celebration last year with Bostock.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, it's a case called the Fulton versus the City of Philadelphia. And in the last paragraphs of the Bostock decision, Judge Gorsuch said, these protections may not apply if there are religious liberties implicated by that law.
Oh.
So he planted the seeds for what is now in front of the Supreme Court, and also what was in the Supreme Court in the Hobby Lobby case. I don't know if you remember that case from 2014. It was a small corporation, but they had enough employees so that Obamacare applied to them, and they objected to providing birth control for their female employees. And the court said they had the employer had a religious liberties exemption. So what used to be the First Amendment was separation of church and state. Now they're referring it to by one of the clauses in it, which is the exercise, the free exercise of religion. Now they're reframing it so that it becomes a religious liberty case. In the Fulton case, a state and city funded foster care agency was denying foster care placement to gay couples, and they
by the way, I'd rather have kids not have a home than give them to a gay couple.
Exactly.
But go ahead.
Yeah, the best interests of the children. So the city and state said, well, we're cutting off your funding. And so they did, and they sued. And this is the case that's going up in front of the Supreme Court. They're claiming that they have a religious exemption to the discrimination law because they believe that children from a religious point of view shouldn't be placed with same-sex couples. So,
but they're not a religious organization, are they?
I believe that they are. Yes, I believe that they are like a Catholic foster care placement.
This is where they get you.
I feel like we always lose these
every time.
Yeah, I feel like we
this
always
religious
lose these
freedom, and that's Handmaid's Tale.
Exactly. How are they going to draw the line where? And this is why I'm really anxious to see this decision. How they're going to, since we only have 3 liberal justices on the court now, how they're going to justify, what artful wording they're going to use to justify this foster care agency's right to discriminate against us. And then once they open that door, everything's going to be a religious exemption that or not everything, but you see where I'm going with this.
Yes.
If you, my religious beliefs say I shouldn't serve you at my restaurant.
And by the way, that's going to bite them in the ass. Like, that doesn't just mean against us. That means us against you. That means it's like anybody with a religious exemption can discriminate.
That's true.
But we're less likely.
I mean, we never do that, but I'm just saying we could.
We could. Maybe we should.
It's going to be interesting decision, and if you have the time, I would love to. It's going to take me at least a week to pour through it and try to understand it and read about it. But I would be happy to come back on, or at least share something with you on your blog
You're coming back. We're going to have you back to talk about it, and that will be magic visit number 4. We'll get you one step closer to your
my jacket, to my no lube. I mean, no lube. No judge
just
lube.
Say no
Sorry.
lube.
Just say no lube.
No lube, no justice. No lube, no justice. With a big X through it.
We need lube, though. That's the problem. Okay.
That's how no lube, no justice.
I love you guys so much. Only you could take the important legal issues of our community and turn them into no lube, no justice.
That's what we do. Judge Lube. Don't be a Judge Lube. Get out of here,
Don't be a
Judge Lube. Get out of here with your Judge Lubeness. Like,
Oh my God. Get your lube and get out of here.
You and Lisa Lubner, get out of here.
get out of here.
I wish I had my Spotify on. I would put on Lisa Loeb and we would call her Lisa Lube and we would play Stay.
No, but we love her.
You say.
I know. I do love her. She's
What
got
I
a
want
sense of
to
humor.
do. Yes.
Just lube.
Yes. Just lube.
I won't use your lube and I won't.
Don't be a Judge Lube anymore.
Oh God, how did we get here?
I don't know. By the way, this is what Jamie and I ask ourselves every day: is how did we get here? And the answer is I don't know.
Judge Lube. Don't be a Judge Lube,
you,
guys.
Anthony. Thank you. You are. I mean, you are giving back in so many different ways.
Yes, you are.
Do you have to talk about the organization that you have also?
Oh my God.
Oh my God, yes.
And while Anthony talks, if you have any burning questions you've been waiting to ask, because I feel like I wouldn't have asked because I've been listening. If you have anything you need to ask now.
And we can also, and he will also hook you up with him in comments too after, and he can answer. Like I'm always adding him everywhere. I was like, you know who might know? Tony. So
thank you very much. So please, if you have questions, my website is www.timeforfamilies.com. And I have written an article in the feature article section about the New York parentage proceeding process. So if you have any questions about that, you can check that out. My email is anthony@timeforfamilies.com. And I am forever a fan, an Ovaries fan, and I thank you. And I cannot wait for my jacket, no matter what it says on the back.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what we do with this
We
jacket.
got to get this jacket made.
Oh,
I know. Now it's happening.
It's happening.
Now it's happening.
Oh my God. This is amazing.
All right. Well, we will see you soon. Thank you so much, Anthony.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Oh my!
I just,
Isn't he the best?
My heart. I just love him so much. This whole family. I just remember when they recorded.
I do too.
And his son was like so quietly like playing
chilling.
in a conference room at my job. It was just they're just a wonderful family.
Remember those days? Those days of having a studio room to like record it, and we were all together.
It was just a conference room, Jamie. But
I know it still felt way different from this. I'll say that.
It is true, but it does sound like the world is breaking down at your house, Jamie. So I think that might mean it's time to end the broadcast.
Everybody's home. Everybody's home. Everybody's home. There's
Thank
nothing
you,
I
everyone.
can do.
We hope you learned a little. We hope you stayed. We love you, and we love Tony, and
we love you all. Thank you so much, guys, and Ovaries, and share this with all your people. Why not? Share it. Tell them you're going to cut me off, but tell your